To the nation with the mightiest rocket power belongs the conquest of space.
Mother, mathematician, scientist, teacher, trailblazer. These words, amongst a plethora of others, come to mind when describing Katherine Johnson, whose groundbreaking work as a human computer becomes even more so monumental when one considers that she was both a woman and an African American, working for NASA in 1950s America. The contributions Johnson made to both space exploration and civil rights went unnoticed for far too long, but have become widely discussed within recent years with the release of a book and a movie in which the story of Katherine Johnson, amongst additional hidden figures, have been shared with the world. Ultimately, Johnson sets new, out-of-this-world standards in the STEM fields, inspiring many young women to take up careers in science and math, even to this day. Katherine Johnson grew up in 1920s America, a day and age during which women, especially African American women, were not readily accepted into STEM fields. Even so, Katherine was born with an undeniable gift for math. As a child, Katherine remembers that she was always counting. Quote, "I counted the steps to the road, the steps up to church, the number of dishes and silverware I washed. Anything that could be counted, I did." Armed with a passion for numbers, Katherine entered the second grade at age 5, bypassing her older brother by 2 grades. At age 10, Katherine was ready for high school, but unfortunately, the town where she lived did not have a school she could attend. Despite this, Katherine's parents were adamant that their daughter continue her education, and thus enrolled her in another high school a few towns over. By the age of 14, she graduated, and soon thereafter enrolled at West Virginia State College. There, she continued to excel in mathematics under the mentorship of unsung math genius William Claytor, who encouraged Katherine to pursue a career as a research mathematician. At age 18, Katherine graduated from college as summa cum laude. Following graduation, Katherine followed a traditional path for a woman of her time, having children and becoming a teacher. Quote, "I was gonna be a math teacher because that was it. At the time, you could either be a nurse or a teacher." She did not re-enter the math arena until 1952, at which point a position opened at NASA's Langley Research Center, or, more specifically, its all-black West Area Computing Section, headed by fellow West Virginian Dorothy Vaughan. There, women worked as human computers, performing mathematical equations and calculations by hand. 2 weeks later, Vaughan assigned Johnson to a project in the Maneuver Loads branch of the Flight Research Division, where she spent the next 4 years analyzing data from flight tests amongst strictly male colleagues. Then, in 1957, everything changed for NASA.
Until 2 days ago, that sound had never been heard on this earth. Suddenly, it has become as much a part of 20th century life as the whir of your vacuum cleaner. It's a report from man's farthest frontier, the radio signal transmitted by the Soviet Sputnik, the first man-made satellite as it passed over New York earlier today.
The launch of Sputnik in turn launched a U.S. drive to take back our lead in space exploration. With a myriad of new projects on NASA's hands, Johnson was asked to supply math for NASA's Notes on Space Technology, a compilation of 1958 lectures given by engineers in the Flight Research Division. Johnson's contributions remained uncredited. In her next assignment, Johnson provided a precise trajectory analysis for the Mercury project, a space mission that would make Alan Shepard the U.S.'s first man in space. Later that year, Johnson became the co-author of a report in which she outlined the 22 principal equations utilized in her trajectory of the Mercury project. It was the first time a woman in the Flight Research Division received credit as an author of a research report.
Now it is time to take longer strides. Time for a great new American enterprise. Time for this nation to take a clearly leading role in space achievement, which in many ways may hold the key to our future on Earth.
From the Mercury project forward, the nation looked to NASA with hope and admiration, heightening the stakes of their next space mission. Delay after delay pushed the next rocket launching back 2 years further than originally expected, but it was eventually decided that on February 20th of 1962, astronaut John Glenn would be launched into space. On the day of his launch, Glenn requested a final review of the orbital trajectory generated by NASA's IBM 7090 computer. He explicitly requested confirmation from Katherine Johnson, stating, quote, "Get the girl to check the numbers. If she says the numbers are good, I'm ready to go."
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
With Johnson's confirmation, Glenn was ready for takeoff. He launched into space as Johnson watched from the countdown room, a moment that she would forever treasure as one of the greatest in her life. John Glenn was readily celebrated upon his return to Earth. But from that day forward, Johnson was also celebrated as both a hero and a role model in the Black community. She went on to play intricate roles in a multitude of additional NASA projects, including the Apollo 2 mission to the Moon and the Space Shuttle, eventually retiring in 1986, 33 years after first arriving at Langley. Johnson's work certainly helped to advance space exploration, but also doubled as an advancement for civil rights. She was the first African American to enter into West Virginia State University's graduate program, and as before mentioned, was the first woman to have her research published at the Flight Research Center of Langley. Moreover, she was an important mathematical asset in the space launch of John Glenn. Through all of this, Johnson was able to demonstrate to the nation that African Americans had the same capabilities of their white counterparts. Her presence in NASA's white, male research centers proved that desegregation and equality were possible, becoming an example of what was possible for America as a whole. Despite all her accomplishments, Katherine insists even today that she was just doing her job.
My problem was to answer questions. And I did that to the best of my ability at all times, correct or incorrect.
Even so, Johnson's success has been widely celebrated in recent years. In 2017, NASA named the Katherine G. Johnson Computational Research Facility in her honor, and in 2015, she was presented with the Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. Furthermore, the recent widespread success of Hidden Figures, a highly acclaimed film based off her career at NASA, has gained Johnson and her story even more recognition than ever before. Today, Katherine continues to tell her story, traveling to schools and encouraging young students to pursue careers in STEM fields. When it comes down to it, Johnson truly hopes her story will inspire younger generations to follow their passions and to find careers doing what they love.
Do your best, but like it. Like what you're doing, then you will do your best. If you don't like it, shame on you.
Her story continues to inspire young women who dream of pursuing careers in STEM fields, which is demonstrated even within the walls of our own school.
There are opportunities out there, and if you are willing to put forth the work and take advantage of seeking them out, you can pretty much do anything you want. That you shouldn't let people tell you that you can't do something that you're passionate about. If you have a strong desire, then it can be achieved.